SureDone is the best software that I've seen for parts and accessories, for if you're in automotive or motorcycle or power sports. They are the undisputed number one. So we're going to find out more about why SureDone is a platform that you guys should consider if you are in the parts and accessories category. So the format of this webinar, it is a little different. It is informal. So instead of Jason and I each give you a very boring presentation, we've decided to make it interactive, because there are, even though I've known Jason and his company for maybe more than 3 years now, Jason, right? I still have questions out of my curiosity that I would really like to ask Jason. So so what I've done is I've prepared a short list of questions. I think I've got 5 or 6 questions that I really wanted to ask Jason. And likewise, I think Jason has got some questions to ask me as well. So that is kind of like an interactive, is kind of like a high level discussion between Jason and me, but it's all revolving around how do we add value to you sellers in a business, in the parts and accessories category. And then Chris will be the moderator. If you have any questions, please feel free to send the questions in to Chris, and Chris will take care of the questions. So without further ado, I think let's get going, right? Jason, how are you this morning?
Doing well. Thank you for having us, Cardy. We're excited to share some information. Hopefully everyone finds it valuable.
Sure. Okay. So I have known you for more than 3 years. I always really admire your platform. It is a fantastic platform, because I see some of the customers that we have, they have hundreds of thousands of SKUs, and they're using you guys, and it's just like an amazing achievement. So can you tell us why SureDone is so successful and such a dominant force in parts and accessories and power sports? Like, what's your secret?
Well, so we can even bring it back to when we built our partnership that has just launched. If you're a high volume, let's say 1 million SKUs, 500,000 SKUs, 100,000 SKUs, part seller, you have a variety of challenges. One, even on the technical side, right? Everything is about performance. And as the internet keeps progressing, year after year, it's all about latency. You can't be out of stock, and things sell faster, and inventory needs to update across multiple channels. If we were having this conversation 10 years ago, maybe people only cared about eBay Motors. Amazon wasn't even a thing. Can you believe that? Here in the US, Amazon wasn't even really a thing for parts and accessories. Now, majority of our sellers say that that's a go-to destination. So one, it's that high SKU count, high volume, being able to turn over inventory very quickly, being able to import those orders, rectify inventory. So we built a proprietary bulk, high fast, and high volume engine that will just take a spreadsheet. We'll talk a bit about it more. They'll split up all your parts into little chunks and then try to distribute it everywhere. The other aspect too is that, as many of the parts and sellers know, it's all about fitment on these channels. eBay Motors, and now becoming a thing on Amazon and Walmart. So that knowledge about aces and pies, OEM fitment, year, make, and model, that's one aspect that we do very well, because we know that, yes, you may want to manage these parts one by one, but if you have 100,000 products, trying to put fitment on those listings one by one is going to take you forever, or you're going to have to hire a team to do it. So we have very strong bulk capabilities to load that fitment. On top of that, and much more recently, we also saw that if, let's just say that you have a BigCommerce or Shopify store and you want year, make, and model fitment on that storefront, we just launched and just were approved actually today for our Shopify app that will allow you to put year, make, and model on your storefront, powered by the data that you have hosted in SureDone. So it's really this deep understanding that, one, you have high volume, you have to deal with these parts in bulk, and two, the fitment aspect. That really is what we really pride ourselves. Our first customers were in the Powersports industry. In fact, the first customer we had had 750,000 SKUs. So imagine, that was 10 years ago, and we've only gotten better over time. The second aspect that applies more towards the general consensus of selling is that our platform is very flexible. So if you're doing $1 million, $2 million, $10 million, $20 million a year in sales across channels, or going up towards that, I'm betting that you probably have some kind of unique way that you're doing these product listings. Either it's some kind of like formula for like your shipping costs. Maybe you have some kind of like net pricing. Maybe you have some kind of like dealer specific pricing. You might have some kind of aspect with the way you do your data. You do like the brand and then the title and then the MPN. Our platform's really flexible and allow you to insert data, manage data, manipulate data, search data in ways that you probably won't find many other places. And then finally, we have a really high touch approach to onboarding because we believe that we're not successful unless you're successful. And with such a powerful system, we want our sellers to be successful on it. So we definitely take our time with the onboards and support to make sure that we understand your issues, that you understand what's happening in the system so you can be most successful. And then finally, it's the relationships, right? We do, I think Chris does weekly calls with eBay. We're part of the Amazon Developer Council. So when things come out, we know about them first. We have partnerships with Walmart. We just launched our integration and partnership with Auto Parts for Less, a dedicated parts marketplace, big commerce. So we really are all about relationships as well. If you work with SureDone, you probably will talk to me at some point, if not Chris or someone else on the team.
Yeah, thank you. So I used to sell automotive parts. So I do know for a fact that the number of SKUs for a parts and accessory seller is always massive. And the fitment is a unique problem. It's a problem. And in fact, I can see that no other e-commerce platform that I know of can do fitment at all. So you guys are definitely unique. So obviously, if your focus is parts and accessories, so most of your sellers will be starting off, selling on eBay. But I know that you have since developed a lot of good multi-channel capabilities for the sellers. So how do you help sellers transition to multi-channel from eBay to the other channels? How do you help them?
So, and we have some slides on the screen to kind of like help talk about this. But really, we first look at like where you actually started, right? If you started as an eBay seller and your account, let's just say you've been selling since like 2005, and let's say you never touched those listings, you just been selling successfully on eBay, you don't manage your data. The first thing you need to do is actually start to normalize your data, right? You probably have these like crazy eBay descriptions with all this old HTML that has all these widgets on there. So first thing, even before we get to what's on the screen here, is to make sure that your data is normalized. Your titles are in a field, again, maybe on a spreadsheet. Your images are somewhere. Your attributes, right? Your manufacturer part number, your how many package quantity if you're doing kits and bundles, tread depth if you're doing tire sales, fitment. Your data needs to be normalized. But once you have that data normalized, then it's all about one, the category mapping and the attributes, right? Like knowing that a package quantity is something else on Amazon, making sure that your MPNs go into the right place, and then the category, right? Because at a high level, the marketplaces work more or less the same. The difference is that they have different search volumes and different ways that you navigate, and then different algorithms on top of it, such as like if you want the buy box on Amazon, you need to not only have pricing in place, you not only have your inventory in check, but you also need to have consideration for maybe using FBA, right? Because obviously Amazon's going to favor the same delivery that is provided by when you host your products there. Then two, once you actually have like the general just categorization and things done, because you want to take this approach in two ways, right? One, we've seen sellers like, let's just get our entire catalog onto multi-channel. We found that that's actually not effective, especially for auto parts sellers that have 500,000 SKUs, because guess what? The majority of those parts don't sell, right? You're trying to go for long tail. You might have a part that you sell once a year, but maybe it's a high margin product. So what we always recommend is one, focus on listing groups. Take your best sellers first, right? Best sellers. Maybe it's like up to 1,000 products. Put those on Amazon. Put in all of the attributes. Make sure the images look good. Put in the right category, and then go to Walmart and do it that way. Because that way you're diversifying channels. Because as many of you may or may not know, you can get kicked off of Amazon anytime just because a seller doesn't like that you're selling against their ASIN, right? Or some kind of bad actor is trying to have I don't want to say an unethical competitive advantage by trying to like tell Amazon that you're like selling something you shouldn't. We see this all the time. It's known in the industry. So diversifying your channels and putting like the best sellers, one. Two, other ways to look at it, like what are your most high margin products? But using listing groups or some kind of product that you have differentiation. One strategy that we can say have we seen very effective, taking notes at home, is try to arrange products in different kits that won't be sold by every other seller on the market, right? Because let's face it, right? These catalogs and these distributors will provide the data, and if you're just listing that same data as everyone else, you're now competing with like, I think we've seen like things like have almost 1,000 sellers on a single product, right?
Yep.
eBay, it's just noise, right? Then the
Yep.
seller has to go through 1,000 products.
Yep.
But if you do a listing group, if you create a crit that says, look, let's sell what's like an example I've seen, like some like brake line, right? Brake calipers with like the brake pads. Those kits now have some kind of price differentiation. Your buyers think that they're getting a great deal. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. But it's a unique SKU, and now you're only competing with no one else. Correct. And that we've seen be very successful. In fact, the most successful sellers we have create these kits.
Yeah.
So differentiation, and then two, an advanced strategy. We recommend this more as you get to like 10 million plus in sales, is trying to differentiate your listings across channels. Because the images that are on Amazon aren't the same images that are on eBay because the buyer personas are different. So consider different descriptions. Or eBay, this is even more true, right? Because the description might be below the fold, whereas on Amazon, once the buyer is actually like, okay, I see the images, this is the part I want, they might actually look down to the details of the actual descriptions and all of the bullet points.
Yeah, it's so true about the kitting, because me as a seller and also as a buyer, if I see calipers with brake pads and a rotor, I buy the whole kit because that's what I need to do my car, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Right. So it's that differentiation that is key, and that gets you to like 10, $20 million a year across multiple channels. We see it every day. Yeah. And then once you get to that scale, it's again our team knowledge. Yeah. We look at your account, and then it's like, well, depending on how you're doing things, how you're sourcing, which distributors you use, which manufacturers you use, are you using ACEs and then we actually have the knowledge to be able to even prescribe like unique strategies to help you go to the next level.
Okay, so I know for parts and accessories, you guys are the undisputed number one, but I know you guys have also since used the same technology, the same software, and help sellers in other categories achieve. So what are the other categories that you have a significant presence in?
Yeah. By the way, everyone can see the slides, right? Chris, am I doing this right?
Yep. No, absolutely can see them.
Yeah. Okay, great. So, as I mentioned, our first customers were Powersports and automotive, and as you can see here, it's like the majority of our business. But our multi-channel and automation technology is applied across categories. In fact, the only outliers, just like a little edification about the industry, is you can support pretty much every category, like even apparel, right? There's a lot of high volume SKUs that are like, you've seen millions of SKUs for apparel because you have like the sizes for each one. So we do really well in there, and electronics. Business and industrial is our second key category, just because there's like nuances and mapping and all that. But the outliers in terms of the industry, which is interesting, is like you can do those categories. You could probably do all of them, as you can see here we do. Yeah. It's books and like wine and like grocery that tends to be like a little bit different, a little bit weirder, because Amazon, for example, puts books on differently, and even the groceries and alcohol has other requirements. So we don't, so we can do them all, and we have done them all. But as you see here, there's a concentration that's pretty well split. Sure. After
one thing I still don't quite get it. So if I have, I don't know, 500,000 SKUs, so how do you handle them? Like it's massive. So how does it actually work?
All right. So one, it's all about automation. That is another key thing here, because there's a lot of multi-channel platforms out there on the market. And like if you look at just multi-channel that don't do automotive, power sports, and accessories, there's like hundreds. But when you bring it down to like the parts and accessories platforms, you could talk about like 10, maybe 15 that can actually handle not just fitment, but the volume of SKUs. So one, automation. Basically, it's like what kind of rules can you put in place? Map pricing, distributor costs, shipping costs, your proprietary margins. So we have automation rules, automating like drop shipping. So, you know, we know that some partners like will do things manually one by one, but let's face it, at high volume, you want to automate those rules, which warehouse does it go to, which distributor, which manufacturer are you drop shipping that product to, or, you know, where is it sending it to? And then our bulk system, as I mentioned, if you upload 1 million SKUs to SureDone, the system takes that file, it chops it into little bits of 5 each, right? So imagine like just looks at the file, splits it into 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, and then spreads it everywhere. And then those things get processed, and then it'll process them all in the channels. So it's a state-of-the-art bulk system we've been working on for well over 10 years now. That is very unique, high performance, it's very fast. Distributed channel management, you know, once we start processing channels, we try to process them as fast as possible. In fact, the challenges that we see in the industry is that, like, for example, Shopify, when we try to upload 100,000 SKUs to Shopify, Shopify will be delayed because they can't handle the upload on their side. It's weird, like so we deal with that. Inventory from multiple warehouses. So, you know, maybe you have an East Coast, West Coast, or you're using like, you want to do drop shipping inventory and in-house inventory, support for those multiple warehouses. So you have a global view of like what's in stock in which warehouse. And then, as we talked about, kits and bundles. So high volume. I mean, we have sellers that have like 500,000 kits and bundles in our system alone, right? And that's actually how they're doing tens of millions of dollars across channels.
That's how they make their money, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's how they're making the money, because it's differentiation on these channels and it's giving them unique reviews and whatnot. And then finally, it's this year, make, and model, the way we store it. It's been a journey for that as well, because like we've seen some sellers, they'll have one part that fits 20,000 different configurations. So if you imagine, you're storing that data, and we have experience with one, handling that volume of data, but then two, our the way our system works to store that data. So that's amazing. How we get there.
Can you tell us more about drop shipping, because that's a very relevant topic for parts and accessories? How do you guys handle drop shipping?
So it's interesting because we were one of the first in the market to deal with drop shipping, especially automated drop shipping, and charge of the vendors that we have on screen. You know, we were one of the first with like Turn 14 and Parts Unlimited for Powersports. So, you know, only a third of our customers do it, and it's a growing segment. Because you have to keep in mind, like if we had this conversation 10 years ago, drop shipping, you would have been a multi-millionaire just by doing it, right? But today, it's all about differentiation. So we still today like get some sellers that like, look, we're gonna just go on and we're gonna get the catalog from the distributor. We're just gonna list 1 million products and we're gonna become really successful overnight. And that's not the strategy that works anymore, because most of the products that are sold from these dropship platforms are already on the internet. So there's already buyers looking at these products. You're competing against all these other buyers. So what we see here is that the ones that actually do it and do it well, because there is sometimes high volatility when you just aren't thoughtful about going to market with it, is, you know, like I said, 30% of our customers do it and they do it well, but they do it by thoughtful thinking. One, they'll put specific segments of the catalog online and they'll optimize it, as we talked about, and they'll create kits and bundles. But then secondary to that, when they fulfill these products, they even have rules on which vendor it should go to, right? Because you might have a part that is drop shipped from multiple distributors or multiple locations or multiple whatever, and your rules that dictate which place it should go to will dictate, one, how much profit you're making, because one vendor might have a higher shipping cost than another vendor depending on the location. So we have capabilities to support that, as well as you know, which vendor has a better lead time to ship the product.
Indeed. Okay. So where's your team, and do you guys charge for onboarding?
So our team, our entire team is actually, you know, we have team members here in the US. We have a team in South America. We have a team in India. And that's pretty much the split right now. Everyone works on our time zone, and we're very intimate. So anyone that you work with, you'll find is very knowledgeable. You know, we pride ourselves on being, like, if you look at the reviews online, high 4-star reviews, and we pride ourselves on being like high touch, very knowledgeable. All aspects of the team. We do charge for onboards. We find because again, with the tool of this sophistication, we're not meant for very rarely are we meant for the starting seller these days. Just because if you're a parts and accessory seller, again, we don't. The strategy of just like trying to list a bunch of products and getting them online and being successful doesn't work anymore. Unless you have some kind of unique product and unique demand for that product. So generally, we charge for the onboard because it's sophistication. We need to like onboard your data. If you're already on Amazon and eBay and you've been using like a competitor platform or doing this manually, we have to merge your data. Or we can show you how to do it, which will lower the cost, but we still need to go through and set up your account and show you the ropes and let you ask those questions, because we don't want you paying for our system for, let's say, 3 months trying to figure everything out yourself and just getting frustrated. That's why we require an onboard depending on the sophistication of your business and how much handholding you need. We do training, it's data work, and then there's automation. So even on your onboard, we'll set up a connection to automate inventory from your supplier or from your warehouse. We'll set up maybe a dropship thing that will automate purchase orders to your warehouse or to your manufacturer, or help you set up the thing. So it's 3 components, right? There's training, there's data, and then there's automations, which is a high level way that sellers have advantages using SureDone.
Yeah.
And we do a lot of support and a lot of training this time, and you get our expertise. And we just want there to be a mutual success.
If I was a seller, okay, I don't mind paying you. I just want it to work. So in fact, if you say 1,000 or 1,500, it's like I'll pay 2, 3, 4 grand just to make it work for me. So I'm willing to pay. If you help me, I'm willing to pay. No problem at all.
And we're not trying to make a lot of money on this. This is really more of a success criteria. It covers the cost. There's definitely a little bit of room in there, but essentially it's designed to get you working, because we feel and we believe that we're not successful unless you're successful.
Very fair. All right. So that's all the questions that I had for you. Now, apparently you got some questions that you wanted to ask me as well.
That's right. Yeah. So,
Okay.
So in the same vein, right? Like we know that there's a lot of repricers out there, but we, again, similar, even our marketplace partners tell us that like StreetPricer has like the highest reputation, especially with the automotive and Powersports. So what makes you different?
So we started as an eBay repricer because I wrote the original version of the software. I started selling automotive parts, so that's why I'm very knowledgeable with automotive. So we started with our eBay repricer, but we have since now built our Amazon module. Our Amazon module is brand new. It was done about just over a year ago. We used the latest technology, latest API stack from Amazon. So to cut a long story short, we got better AI because we benchmarked and we fine-tuned our algorithm to make sure that it is capable of winning more buy boxes than any other repricers on the marketplace, because we use the latest Amazon repricer, so we are like 50 times faster. So instead of taking a minute and a half to do a repricing, I think the fastest competitor, the quoting is about like 90 seconds or something, whereas in our case, we do it in under typically a second or 2. So we're like 50 times faster, we're smart, so we win more buy boxes. eBay, we are pretty much the generally recognized like the best repricer out there. So every marketplace, it's got its own engine. So even though if you come to StreetPricer, it's one platform, but in fact, underneath the platform, you have Amazon, eBay, Walmart. We're releasing Walmart in the first week of October, so in about 4 weeks' time. They're all separate engines. They're the true repricing engine for each platform. Our user interface is really intuitive. Because there's no point having a software that is really complicated. These pricing algorithms or something, too many switches and settings, I don't understand, right? So we spend a lot of time making sure that customers come in, they can use it, okay, my theory is, because I design the software and the user interface, right? So if they ask a question, I would ask myself a question, something is not right. Okay, if they have to ask a question, we go back to the drawing board and do it again. So our user interface is very easy. So the average onboarding time is about 3 days. So if I do it for you, I can do it in an afternoon. But an average customer usually takes about 3 days, because the first day is they come in, they navigate, they get their kind of head around our software. The second day they come back, they usually set their min and max prices. They bring the cost in from either the system or from another platform. And then the third day, they set the auto price rule and usually just win me the buy box or set the velocity repricing, where you go. So that's the differentiator. And we connect to other platforms as well, like SureDone and other platforms, which means that we can pull data from your platform and do all the calculation or mapping. And then when we've done the repricing, we can push the prices back to either your platform or Amazon, eBay, or both simultaneously. So that's the differentiator.
Yeah. And in fact, I know that was like a key thing when we were working together to build the integration.
That's right. That's
like
indeed.
The high volume, you're actually really strong with that.
Yep.
And we definitely have appreciation for making it easy user interface. I know that we've had our own journey with that as well.
Yep.
Okay, so as we talked about, the most successful sellers as they grow, right? They try to differentiate. They try to diversify across channels, but we noticed that pricing is one of the key things that you optimize as you continue to grow. So when new sellers join repricing, how do they become successful? What makes them more successful?
The key is actually setting the min and max prices, probably more so like the min prices, because with the minimum prices, that determines your profit margin and also your conversion. Because if your min prices are too high, then it's unnecessary. You're not selling. You're actually just constricting the sales, right? But if you set too low, obviously you're not making money. So in order to be successful, the key is actually mapping or calculating the correct min prices, either by way of a formula or pulling it from SureDone or something, is to actually get your min prices right. So, and then once you got the min and max prices right, you have to think about an ongoing workflow to keep them current, because prices change over time, right? Be it currency or supplies might give you a new discount level or something. So the key is actually keeping your min and max prices current as well, with minimal intervention, because remember you said automation. So that's the key. And then once you've got the min and max prices right, the auto price rules are quite easy, because basically, especially with eBay, most sellers would say, I just want to match the lowest or something. And that's it's kind of that's the norm on eBay. But with Amazon, trust the algorithm. Let our algorithm handle all the AI to help to win you the buy boxes, because Amazon does not like your prices to be too low. If it is too low, you're bombing the price. You don't win the buy box. If you do repricing, if you change your prices too often, you don't win the buy box. So trust our algorithm. And the other thing is trust StreetPricer, because I see so many sellers, they come in, they say, oh, it's not really working. Hey, you actually have not turned it on. So you've got the best software in the world. You've got the best car, sitting in your garage, but you're not actually driving it. So I think the important thing is to turn on auto pricing and trust the system, and trust the software, trust the AI. Okay. And then finally, it's a kind of like a feedback loop. So it's important that you review the outcome and the results, and then do refinements. So again, with a very large number of SKUs, like a couple 100,000 SKUs, what I suggest our sellers do is you do spot checking. You pick probably 5 or 10 items that are really representative, high volume movers, and you analyze those. Am I winning or am I not winning? And start from there. So I think that feedback mechanism is important. Yeah.
Very cool. And then in the similar respect,
actually, sorry, Jason, let me interrupt you real quick before you move on. Just want to remind everybody, if you have any questions, please throw them into the public chat or send me a private chat during this. I'll interject while these guys are having their conversations and asking the questions that you guys have.
Okay, thank you, Chris. Okay,
cool. Do you have any questions?
I don't have any questions right this second. There are a couple questions, but I'll save them for after you guys finish your conversation here.
Sure.
Okay, so just in the same respect, use the automatic repricing. I know that there's 2 types of repricing. You have velocity repricing, and then there's the algorithmic. How should sellers approach knowing, again, trying to make it as easy as possible? When do we use each one?
So it's quite simple. So algorithmic means competitor-based repricing. So if you have competitors, typically that is if you're selling on Amazon, that you have the same ASIN, there are multiple sellers offering to sell the same item, that's competitors. Or on eBay, you see you pull up like a part or something, everybody's using exactly the same photo. So when you do have competition, you probably don't have a choice. Okay, so if you have competitors selling exactly the same product, you have to be price competitive. That's just like I say, if you're out by $1, you're out. Okay, so in that case, you probably don't have a choice. Okay, but if you don't have direct competitors, or if you own the brand, or if yours is private label or white label, no brands, then what you should do is to go with velocity-based repricing, which means that instead of looking at your competitors, because there's no point, you don't have any competitors, you look at your rate of selling, which is how many units do you sell of that item over a given time. So if you're not selling, obviously, you need to move your prices down until you gain traction. Okay. So once you have gained the traction, once you're selling at the right rate, you probably want to keep the pricing. But at the same time, if you're actually selling too quickly, you probably want to up your prices, because that's opportunity to make more money, and you don't want to sell out. You don't want to be in an out of stock situation. So it's either if you have competitors, go with the algorithmic repricing. If you don't have competitors, go with velocity. So it's very simple.
And then there's a follow-up. Do you have a feature or incoming feature that will tell sellers which one they should be using for different groups of products? Because with auto parts, you might have 500,000 products. Do they have to do this manually, or do you provide recommendations?
They can do it manually if they know their products. We also have a feature that is when there's no competitor, you can switch automatically to velocity. So that has been built in for a couple of years. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yep.
Great. All right. So do you see repricing, let's just say like you have a large catalog, you're a multi-channel retailer, you can sell a variety of categories.
Yeah.
Are there certain categories that are more successful than others for repricing?
Sure. I'll go with eBay first, because we started, with eBay. eBay obviously is parts and accessories, because the number of SKUs are just like massively massive. You can't do it by hand. You've got to use a repricing software. So obviously we have the most success with parts and accessories. And then on eBay will be health and beauty and home and garden. So that's the eBay. But with Amazon, number one is actually home and garden. And then number two is health and beauty, things like perfumes and cosmetics and that kind of personal care. And then the third is actually, believe it or not, toys and games. That is actually a very active category in Amazon. So I think, those are the standout categories for repricing, prime candidates for repricing.
What do you think that's why? Do you have any insight into why those categories are more successful?
I think because they are high volume, you're more likely to run into competitors like automotive parts, like home and garden. If I want to buy, a cordless power drill, I know exactly what brand I want to shop for. So I want to punch in something, it will come up. If you look at Amazon, you have, 10, 20 sellers all offering the same, power tool, right? So obviously that is hugely competitive.
Cool. Thanks.
Yeah.
All right. And then opposite question, are there any products that aren't good? Used products, one-off?
Used items can be a good candidate for repricing if you have good eBay calls them item specifics. If you have a good part number system that we know what yours is, and we can find the competitors for you, used items are not a problem. The problematic ones are the totally unstructured data. So I have one on the screen, right? So if you have a look at that, it's what is it? It's like a Ford headlight, something with minimal description. You look at the item specific. There's no part number other than Ford or something. The seller might think that it's very informative, but how would we know? Okay, so we have no way of matching yours to any specific competitor. So you either end up having either no competitors, or you have a million matches for that for that listing. So it's like unstructured listings are really bad. Another example is we find it really difficult to work with vintage stuff, antique, one-off, collectibles. Fashion and clothing is notoriously difficult because there's like if you buy my hoodies here, right? I don't know the part number. What part number? And then you have different colors, you have different sizes, and it's just like it's really not a good candidate. So I think
similarly, eBay even has a feature now that if you fill in the item specifics, they will tell you how much increased search volume you'll get by filling them out. So
wow, that's pretty cool. Yeah,
very cool.
Yeah.
So I've got a question from the audience here.
Sure.
Can you talk a little bit, either one of you guys, about what the StreetPricer and SureDone integration looks like? How are they integrated, and how is it useful for people?
Now, Jason, you going to take the question, or do you want me to take the question?
Yeah, take it away. I mean, you're the one who. Yeah.
Okay. So thank you. So we've built the API connector to SureDone. It is for high volume movement of data between SureDone and us. So what we can do is that we do a daily synchronization with SureDone. So we pull all the cost of goods, the brands, the min and max prices, the map pricing from SureDone into our system. And then every synchronization, there's a rollback feature. So if something is gone wrong, you can actually click the undo button. Once it's into StreetPricer, you can link your min and max prices, or you can calculate, or you can apply map pricing. So it's basic for high volume data, moving from SureDone, and it doesn't matter whether it is 300, 400, 500,000 SKUs. It just works. We've tested that for a good couple of months now, and after repricing, what we can do is, if you want to keep SureDone as a single source of truth, you can push the revised prices back to SureDone, and let SureDone do the work, or we can push it simultaneously back to SureDone and the marketplaces. So
and there's a whole Chrome plugin too, right? That connects or overlays on top of SureDone, so that you can see your StreetPricer information integrated right into your SureDone interface, right? Correct.
And it is in fact an in-app integration, isn't it? So if you're in SureDone on the left-hand side, if you click the repricer, it will bring up our the StreetPricer thing. I think we've done a very good job with integrating the two products together, to make it very usable for your customers.
Yeah, I know I've seen. Go ahead, Jason.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I say I know that when I've looked at the product and gone over it with our customers, having the overlay right on top of being in the all product screen, or in the single product screen, or in the order screen, and having the pricing, min max pricing, or the changes and things like that show up right in one place, and not have to switch back and forth between software is always nice. Kind of a follow-on question to this is, so how do you manage multiple channels and StreetPricer and SureDone integration together?
The channels are completely independent, so you can calculate a set of min and max prices for Amazon, and independently another set of min and max prices, and different sets of rules altogether for your eBay, because we have different engines, remember? So it's completely independent. So you can really that's another strength and another differentiator, because there are some reprices on the market. In fact, all the other reprices, right? They say they do, let's say they do marketplace A, they say they do B, but they don't. They simply copying and pushing the same data to the other marketplace. So if they say they're usually an Amazon repricer, and they say they can do eBay as well, if you actually drill down and dig deeper, they don't. They just copy the same Amazon pricing on the eBay. So they're not looking at the eBay ecosystem, the eBay competitor landscape. So I
know I was on the call yesterday with the team from eBay, and they were speaking the praises of StreetPricer. So
thank you.
So that was always nice to hear.
So,
actually, this question is for you, Jason. Somebody was asking a little bit more about the Year Make Model plugin that we have, and what that is, and what it can do. I know it's not quite a repricing topic, so I apologize, but thought I'd throw that in there.
Yeah, we know that a lot of stuff, the general strategy of e-commerce, right, is typically one of these. Either you were a marketplace seller, you started on eBay, you started an eBay business, and then you went to Amazon and then Walmart, and you don't have your own brand, but now you've diversified to having your own direct-to-consumer brand, because maybe you're tired of competition on Amazon, or seller limits, whatever the case may be. So you go to your own website. Then there's the reverse, right? You're a G2C brand, and then your expanded marketplaces. In automotive, a big user experience differentiator, that the reason that companies like AutoZone here are successful and eBay Motors is that when you're trying to find a part, you need to put in your year, make, and model, right? I want to buy something for my 1978 Ford Bronco.
Yeah.
Well, I can't just type in like, front fender. I have to type in 1978 Ford Bronco front fender. So it's that capability of being able to offer that year, make, and model search on your website. We've just launched on Shopify, BigCommerce. We even have a SureDone storefront that powers it. The widget can be used. So if you are an enterprise brand and want to use the same widget for your thing, this requires some custom development, but we can make that happen. Just contact us. But the idea is here that you have a widget that with a couple clicks, you can now power that year, make, and model search on your website. So that way you can have a competitive advantage that same sites such as like AutoZone and, cars, all these like different like auto parts websites have now on your own website.
That's so good.
Awesome.
How are we tracking for time, Chris? Do we have time for one or two more questions?
Yeah, we probably have time for like one more question.
Sure.
One question that I have is this one's for you, Cardy. How does StreetPricer differentiate between original equipment and aftermarket parts?
Okay, so we have brand filters. So we have a couple of strategies. So we can have brand filters, include or exclude, and we have also the price range filter, because usually genuine would be $800, and then aftermarket will be $400. So you can usually use a price range, sensitivity to actually screen out. So if yours is a genuine at $800, you probably don't want to look at anything that is under $600, right? So we can have brand include, exclude, and also with the price sensitivity, and also the part number as well. So we have like not one but several strategies to differentiate. Yeah. So
awesome. Yeah, I mean, there's one other question. If you guys want to take the time to ask.
One more. We have one more. I'm conscious of the time. I want to make sure that they have things to do. Yeah, one more.
I guess this is for both of you guys then, which is are there any recommendations to pricing strategies for different channels? But it sounds like a good one to close on.
Jason?
I'm sorry, I just saw a question here from somebody asking about an integration with WHI. Yes, we do integrate with WHI. It's typically through via FTP. So I just work with your WHI rep, and then they'll drop it on FTP, and then SureDone can ingest that data.
Yeah, I'll quickly answer that. So different pricing strategies for different channels. Amazon, you need to win the buy box. There's no option. So trust our AI. With eBay, reluctantly, I'll say you have to match the lowest, because that's just the way it goes on eBay, right? People shop because they want a bargain, right? So if they know it's exactly the same product, I ask myself the question when I'm buying, right? They're exactly the same product. Why should I pay more? Okay, so I think if you're on eBay, you have to make sure that you're price competitive. So that's all from me. So I think, what do you think? Should we wrap this up and let them go? Because I think everyone's time it's precious. What do you think?
Well, thank you everybody for joining, and
same.
We're here to support you.
So I would thank everyone for joining, and again, good morning to the guys in the US, and very good afternoon to the sellers in UK and Europe. So thank you guys. Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Chris, and I'll see you again next time in our next webinar. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks,
see you. Bye.